the executive summary is one of the more important pieces of your business plan. That's because the executive summary, more often than not, is going to be the first thing a funder, lender, or investor is going to read. You need to get them interested in your business. This is a short, brief, 1 to 2 page introduction that hopefully gets them interested enough to read on. The executive summary shouldn't be more than 2 pages, in my opinion. It should be rather brief, but it needs to capture the interest of the reader. Now, I often see the executive summary written in 3 different styles. And before we get any further, let's pop up the executive summary so you guys can see it. Again, this section is typically 1 to 2 pages, and we have a nice example here. So one of the most common ways that I see an executive summary written is something called a synopsis summary. And basically it's broken down into 3 parts. The first part being an introduction to the problem or the current atmosphere that exists, right? So if you're a new business, what is the reasoning for you to get into business, right? What is the problem? What is the situation that you're trying to solve or alleviate or make better? What is the current way of doing things? The second section then moves into how you are going to be the solution to that problem, or if you're already in business and this is a business proposal for expansion, you're going to be talking about how the expansion is going to help you grow, right? So maybe the problem is you're currently doing XYZ and you need money to expand, or you're a new business and you want to get into the market and this is the options available, and you are going to be a new option and you have some kind of secret sauce, some kind of reason for people to want to come to get yours, some kind of unique attribute of your business that is going to make people want to come to your business. The third piece that is often missing is you want to let the reader know how is it that they fit into this proposal. Right? So the third piece of a synopsis summary is exactly that. It is, look, to get this business started, I need XYZ amount of money, right? And I'm hoping to get some of that money from you. So you spell out, how much you need, how much money you're hoping to get, how much money you're going to contribute yourself, because that is an important piece of many of the proposals. They want to see that you have something to risk as well. And also kind of end it with, what is the collateral or what is the return for the money, right? If it's a bank, they're probably going to be more interested in collateral because they want to be safe. Collateral is any equipment or land or buildings that the bank could then take if the loan were to fail, or a return, right? If you're looking at getting investors interested in the proposal, then they're looking more at a return. They're willing to take the risk that maybe there isn't collateral in the deal, there isn't anything to take if the deal goes south, but maybe they want a return that's a little better than the stock market. Right? And currently, traditionally, the stock market is 8 to 12% return, so they're going to want to be looking for a return that's about the same. Right? So that's the most common type of executive summary that I see is, what is the problem or the current situation? How is what I'm thinking about the solution, right? Whether starting a business or expanding a business. And then finally, how does the reader, how does that lender or that investor fit into what you're thinking about, right? And that way, just reading this one executive summary, the lender has a good idea of why you're needed, what you're planning to do, and how they can help. Again, that is the most common type of executive summary that I see. Sometimes I see another one that we call the narrative story. So it's an executive summary where there's a really good story behind either why the person's getting into this business and why it's needed, but it's written like a story. So it's not written in the traditional sense of what we just went over. It does cover some of the aspects, but maybe not in such a linear 1, 2, 3 aspect. Again, that is the narrative, kind of like a story. The third one that I don't see very often anymore, I used to see it more often, but the other one, the third option is a cover letter, right? You actually format it like you're writing a letter and you address it to whoever you're going to give the business plan to, right? Dear so-and-so at so-and-so bank. Thank you for reading my proposal. This is what I'm thinking of, right? And again, you kind of go through the aspects of the synopsis, you know, where it's the problem, the solution, and what you're hoping for. But the cover letter, I don't see very much. Narrative story, I see sometimes, but predominantly, whenever someone's coming in, or if I get a business plan, I see it mostly in the synopsis summary. And usually it's the 1 and 2, the what's the problem and how am I gonna help it. So the third piece is very important in that executive summary, to make sure you are telling the person who's reading it what's going on, how much do I need to lend, because depending on the size of the loan would be what happens, right? So is it big enough where I need more people to sign off on this loan? Is it small enough where I can do it myself? That's in the mind of the lender or the investor. So the executive summary, you can work on at any point during the business plan, but I always advise people, you want to make sure you touch the executive summary last, right? You could do it first and then come back to it. You could do it last, doesn't matter. But the executive summary, again, is that first thing that any lender or investor is going to read. So you want to make sure it is good and it's capturing their interest. Because if they aren't captured, if their interest isn't there, they're simply not going to continue reading your business plan. So this is the moment you need to really explain that business and what you need. Okay, thanks.